In tonight's Spotlight, the key witness in the Penn State child rape case, assistant football coach Mike McQueary. As discussed here last night, he recently sent an email to friends saying, "I did stop it, not physically, but made sure it was stopped when I left that locker room." No one has yet figured out exactly how that jibes with the eyewitness account McQueary gave to the grand jury, which is summarized in the grand jury's report this way. He saw a naked boy, victim 2, whose age he estimated to be 10 years old, with his hands up against the wall, being subjected to anal intercourse by a naked Sandusky. The graduate assistant was shocked, but noticed that both victim 2 and Sandusky saw him. The graduate assistant left immediately, distraught. The graduate assistant went to his office and called his father, reporting to him what he had seen. His father told the graduate assistant to leave the building and come to his home. The graduate assistant and his father decided that the graduate assistant had to promptly report what he had seen to Coach Joe Paterno. The next morning, a Saturday, the graduate assistant telephoned Paterno and went to Paterno's home, where he reported what he had seen. McQueary's email also said, "I did have discussions with police and with the official at the university in charge of police." But the grand jury wrote, "The graduate assistant was never questioned by university police, and no other entity conducted an investigation until he testified in grand jury in December 2010. Joining me now, Wayne Drays, senior writer for ESPN.com. He's been covering the Penn State scandal since it broke last week. Thanks for joining me tonight, Wayne.
Thanks for having me, Lawrence.
Wayne, is there any way to line up this email with what we know from the grand jury report? And let's work backwards, starting with the talking to police.
Yeah, I think one of the key words here is the word that you said, summarize. As we know in grand jury reports, every single detail is not always in there. In terms of talking to police, I'm not really sure what to make of this. I think we're so often trying to find an ocean of answers, and we're finding them, drop by drop, and it's frustrating us. Yesterday Mike tells people that, he stopped it, he talked to police, and now today the police say they don't have a report. I'm not sure this is maybe a simple answer of a miscommunication where Mike talked to police but a report wasn't actually filed. I'm not real sure, and I think it's kind of dangerous for us to exactly speculate.
But if McQueary speaks to a police officer in the state of Pennsylvania, whether it be state police, local police, campus police, and tells that police officer, "I saw anal rape of a 10-year-old boy in the shower," it is inconceivable that police officer would not then initiate an investigation. And the grand jury report says that he was never questioned by university police, and then says, so that just means university police, leaves every other police department as a possibility, but then says no other entity, that would be local police, state police, anything, no other entity conducted an investigation until he testified in the grand jury in 2010.
Right. The one catch in this is Gary Schultz, who we know McQueary talked to and was in charge of the Penn State police at the time. Perhaps when McQueary was emailing his friends in this email that was released, when he said he spoke to police, perhaps he meant he was talking to Schultz, who was essentially a police representative. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure. This is one of the questions that hopefully we'll find the answers to here in the days and months that come forward.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen. Especially, you have to consider that the email is not sent under oath, and grand jury testimony is given under oath. It's more careful, but as you say, you can see some space in between the sentences of the grand jury report. It doesn't account for his second-by-second behavior. In the part of the email where he talks about I stopped it, in effect, he seems to be saying, if you try to line that up with the grand jury report, it seems to mean that he saw it, and by seeing it, that seemed to stop it.
Right. My colleague Tom Rinaldi at ESPN had a source he reported on Monday that was close to the investigation, who said the same thing, that McQueary did, in fact, stop it. He didn't offer any more specifics, but it's more than just Mike saying this in an email. We've, by one source, familiar with the investigation corroborated what Mike said.
There was another development today. Jerry Sandusky's attorney, possibly the worst attorney who's ever represented someone in this case, actually explained his defense strategy. Let's listen to that.
We're letting people know we have a defense strategy. The way he came across in that interview via the phone and his answers were consistent with the way Jerry's been ever since I've known him. He's slow in response. He takes his time. He thinks about what he's being asked, and he gives an answer. And I think the more people who hear him explain that he didn't commit the acts with which he's been charged, I think the better off he's going to be down the road.
Is Sandusky making any moves to get a real lawyer?
I think that's optimistic thinking, Lawrence. Anybody who watched that interview, I feel, came away feeling a lot worse about Jerry Sandusky than they did before that interview started. An explanation of where, I touched the leg or I showered with these boys, but we didn't have, any sexual interactions is very, very questionable. I'm not so sure about their approach.
Wayne Drees, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.